Okay, my name is Jermell Howard. How's everybody doing?
Good.
All
Good.
right. So a little bit about my background is I'm currently a customer service associate at Walgreens. Graduated high school from North Technical with a certification in HTML and CSS, which is what really got me into coding, which is what led me to Savvy Coders in the first place. Um, so as far as my project is basically an informative website on smartphones. It basically provides you information about the latest smartphones, the most popular smartphones that recently came out, stuff about their specifications, camera features, and stuff like that. So let's start with the home page. As you can see with the home page, I have just like some brief discussion, like brief small reviews. There's a link right under here. Gave credit to the source, like for example, the Galaxy S20 Ultra. You can read it and stuff like that. And if you find it interesting, I've also included a link in the photo, so you could just, I'm just gonna right click it, open it through tab, and it take you to like the official website or where you can buy the device. Another thing I have on my home page is, as you can see, I've created a navigation bar, and I also created a header. With the header pictures, you can click on each picture and it will take you to that device's specific page with this info on it. So let's see, we can try, or no, this is, yeah. So you see more smartphones down here. It's the same thing as the S20, got the Huawei P40, Note 10, etc., etc. Link to their reviews. And the ones that don't have a link on it is basically just written by me, information I just found or just research that I've done, just like a short paragraph explaining the top-notch features of the device. And back to the header, you can just click a picture, the Galaxy Note 10, and there you go. It takes you right to this page. Now, as far as what I use to get some of the stuff designed for the home page and all the other pages, I use some of the CSS components like Flexbox and wrap and just aligning things in order. I would say my design inspiration for this for my web page was like more of a material design that I kind of got that inspired me from Google, the way they design their things. So let's go to the Galaxy S10 page. So right here is basically the phone info page. And right here, I basically got, just another little short bio about the device. I have typed this about by myself. Then I have the specifications, the camera hardware features, and stuff like that, just a display resolution, et cetera, et cetera. I've also included a YouTube video. Now, how I've gotten a YouTube video on there is, what's nice is Google has an option where you can embed the code. So I put that into my project and I just embedded the code and I was able to link it and you just click on it if you want to find like a little bit more information about the device. Just a short video right there. And then at the bottom, if you're really interested and you're thinking about buying a device, I provided like multiple links like Samsung's official website, T-Mobile, Verizon, Sprint, AT&T. So that's pretty much the same for each page, just the information like the iPhone 11, specifications, camera, video features, and another YouTube video along with it, official links where you can purchase the device. Now, how I got the information on there is I've used, I just hard coded with HTML to put the information on there. To get the web page to become a single page application, I use JavaScript to, we use things like, I've used things like functional components and using things like state, writing functions like the render function. We also use Navigo, which in part kind of help we move my navigation bar, get my navigation bar going. Let's see, and so we'll see what else. So as far as like things I kind of want to do in the future, like future enhancements, I eventually want to add a search bar so we could just type in the name of the device. The name of the device pops up, click on it, takes you right to that page. I'm also planning on getting it more mobile friendly, as you can see with the hamburger bar, and also making a whole brand page. For example, Samsung, Apple. You click on that brand page, takes you shows a list of the devices. You click on it, takes you to the device info page. I'm also thinking about including like a deal section, using something like maybe an API or a database to where it grabs like the latest and best deals for each that you get on each smartphone, and you can purchase that device right there. So, and
Are
yeah,
you thinking about doing that with RSS feeds, or have you thought about how you're going to do that?
um not I haven't thought about doing it. I was gonna do some more research on it. Try to find like some YouTube videos or just find some resources on the internet and try to implement it into my project. And oh yes, another thing I plan on doing is just like something a little extra, I guess. Like you know how some sites have like text over the pictures, just the title of the device, just to make it, just a little bit better, look a little bit better. But yeah, that's pretty much what I have for my capstone project. Um, some of the struggles I would say I've had with it was getting it to render. Getting it to render was a big problem for me using the JavaScript, and getting the navigation bar to actually work correctly is one of the things. It took me about a week and a half, but just Google searching and I just kept on playing around with it. I eventually got it to render and work correctly. But yeah, that is pretty much what I have for my capstone projects. Any
That's
questions
cool.
or concerns?
No, looks
Can
good.
you go into a little bit more of the front end versus back end architecture?
Yes, sir, I can. So basically I would say like more so the back end, if I'm saying it, give correct answer. The back end is I would say more so of like our Navigo or the JavaScript that we did for it. And I would say more so the front end is more like the CSS designing of it and the HTML that I implemented into the website.
Okay, on the client side, you had mentioned functional components. Is it Angular or React? I think you guys in Savvy learned a little bit of Angular. Is that correct?
From my experience, I just remember they didn't really tell us anything about us using Angular or React, but I know we use things like Visual Studio Code to
Yeah,
put our stuff in it.
so Brad, we're framework agnostic intentionally. We want to make sure that the students get a good foundation. And I know that after when Bradley was looking and Brandon was looking at talking with you guys about the role there, he went and learned Angular kind of on his own with what he had learned through the Savvy curriculum. We've had a couple of other students that were looking for opportunities at other companies that were React shops, and they did the same thing. They went and they had enough fundamental knowledge that they were able to pick it up in a couple of weeks. And then actually one of the things we asked graduates to do is take their capstone and figure out which framework they want to rework it in. And that kind of keeps them busy while they're out there interviewing.
Yeah, I remember now that you guys are framework agnostic. I
Yep.
couldn't remember why I thought that you guys learned a little bit of Angular, but that's okay. Yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah.
So everything on the front end then is all static code, is what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Anything
more
else?
questions?
I think it looks very good. It seemed like a lot of work. What was the toughest part? That took you the longest?
I would say the toughest part was definitely like again getting it into SPA form, getting the navigation bar to actually render and to actually work, to get the links to work. Also, the CSS was pretty difficult. Getting everything aligned and getting everything to be in a certain spot to look the way it is. That took me like, I would say 2 weeks to perfect it. Well, I wouldn't say perfect it, but to get it looking in a decent way.
Mhm. I think it looks good.
Thank you.
I see on your resume you've got you started at SIUE doing computer science from 2018 to 2019. What was the reason for switching over to Savvy Coders?
Financial issues. When I was at SIUE, fortunately, I was able to work at the IT department there. My manager, he kind of mentored me and stuff like that. Did a little bit of just Python, Django database type of things, just a small amount. But I had to leave eventually because of financial aid issues. So which led me to Savvy Coders, and I saw it was free, so it got me interested.
Sure. You just mentioned some database experience. Do you have? Can you expand on that just a little bit? See, just how what kind of experience do you have?
Basically, when we was there, we were making like database systems for like professors for to keep track of the students' iPads. Like it was like special ID numbers for them, and if they wanted to know like if a student returned it, if it got stolen, we would basically make like a database chart for it. We never got finished with it, but we was like, I would say beginning, getting close to push into the middle of the project. And I've also worked with other people there to try to get the project going.
Okay.
Michael Leitscher, you've been awfully quiet.
Which you know is unusual for me.
I know.
I just first want to say that Jermell, I think you did a good job with your capstone project. I think you did a good job of incorporating links and video in a very short amount of time to make it as interesting and informative as possible. So kudos for a job well done there.
Appreciate it.
I guess I have kind of two questions, and I'm going to give my first kind of as a hypothetical. You know, as you're new and starting out, it may be challenging to, especially in our current environment, to find that first job. And one of the ways that I guess I would recommend, if you can find it, if you can reach out to people you know, maybe small independent businesses that, and I'm talking a lawn service or something like that. Let's say you know there's a kid in the neighborhood that wants to start a lawn service and he has no online presence and no one, you know, other than his few neighbors, they can't find him. So he wants to put something together. Seems like maybe a good project for someone like yourself to take on. So if you were to find somebody who wanted, you know, a web presence that maybe doesn't have one now, what would your process be? What would your thought process be, and your kind of your structure? How would you go about organizing that type of a project from the beginning? And I'm not talking about from a necessarily technical standpoint, but just kind of overall, how would you lay out your project?
How I would lay out my project is first, I think I would sit down with the person, talk about the things that they want to do, their plans for their, like you said, line service project or line service line service website. I would ask them some of the things they want. You know, I would kind of do like draw out the things that they want for their website. You know, like I guess like a wireframe type of thing. And yeah, I think the best thing for me in that situation just to meet up with them, see what they want, see where they want to go from there, and kind of yeah.
So basically, just start out by gathering the requirements of what they're looking for, and building it from there. Okay. And then a second question I had, and you may not have had much experience with this, but I did notice this. I think everybody in the course is required to take the Agile Master class, and saw that on your resume. So was just curious, you know, from what you know, what you've experienced so far, either in the class or in real life, what are the advantages of working in an Agile environment, or the drawbacks?
I would say some of the advantages, some of the things I know working in an agile environment is basically like a software development process plan right there, where you just get together in like a group of 10 and just plan out the process that you have for your project, using things such as Scrum, Trello, writing down the things you want to add to your, as for example, your website.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think if that's about all the questions we have, I think we're going to thank Jermell very much. Thank all of you. And next up will be Dimitry Robertson. So I'm going to go ahead and have him join, and I'm going to wish you well, Jermell.
Thank you, Jermell.
Bye,
Thanks.
Jermell. Good to
Jermell.
see you
Thank
again.
you.
Bye-bye.
Nice seeing you
Bye. Good to
guys.
see you again, Jermell.
All right.
Hello.
Hi, Dimitri. How are you?
Hello.
Doing well. How are you?
We're good. We're good. Thanks for being so patient and waiting. So far, this is working out pretty well.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so I'll let you introduce yourself, and feel free to share your screen and show folks your project.
Fantastic. Let me share it right here. Can everybody see my screen fine?
Yes.
Yes.
Fantastic. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dimitry Robertson. I have been teaching myself development and security for the past 5 years. I studied in Cisco routing, switching, and networking, as well as a little bit of cybersecurity at St. Charles Community College. Through Savvy Coders, I have acquired the skills in ES6 JavaScript, HTML5, and CSS3 to create Fairfly. With the stresses of everyday life, I'm sure you'd love to just wake up, get on a plane, and leave town for a few days. Well, now you can. Fairflight was created with a mobile-first approach and simplicity in mind. Let me show you how it works. So to simplify the use for the end user, the program uses an API which takes the IP address and gets the user's location, so they don't really have to enter where they're at. All you have to enter is the destination and when you will return. It's that simple. Now you'll be greeted with a very friendly screen. You've got your price, big letters, so that's the first thing you see. You've got the name of where you are located and where you are hoping to go, as well as when you're supposed to departure and return. Gives you a few days to clear your mind and come back with a fresh head. Don't worry about picking the price. There are numerous results, so I'm sure you could find one that suits your dates and your budget. Don't know where to go exactly? We got you covered. With our popular section, you will find needed information such as the price, the destination, and even a friendly picture to show you where you could go and what you could see. Now, since this application uses the person's IP address and geographic location, the results, the price, and the pictures will change depending where you are located in the world. Since this is a mobile-first approach application, it is able to be used in landscape as well as portrait mode and full screen if the user is using a desktop. Now, if you're gonna fly on a budget like me, you'd probably want to visit our cheapest section. We've got flight prices that are cheaper than their average ticket prices, so don't expect them to be about 10 bucks. You'll find needed information such as, the destination name, the airplane you'd be taking, and your flight number, as well as where you're taking off in case you were in such a hurry you forgot. And now, after seeing all those beautiful results, if you have any questions or concerns about the application, feel free to reach out to me and we can get back to you as soon as we can. But if you are in such a hurry that you need to skip town right now, I have provided my information, email and number, so we can get the air situated and help you as quick as possible.
So Dimitri, I noticed you said it picks up your location, so it automatically has you flying out of like Lambert. Is that what it's referencing?
Correct. So it would take your city and the closest airport there and pick out your ticket prices off that, as well as popular locations people from that city flew to.
Okay. And I noticed that you enter a return date, but not a departure date. Reasoning behind that, or is it just looking for the deal?
With the stresses of everyday life, you want to leave right now, don't you? You just want to hop on a plane and get out of here. So you're leaving today or the next few days, I assume. Clear your head
Okay.
for a few days and come back.
So these are looking for those last minute deals.
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Yeah, really, do you guys have any questions? The application mostly just utilizes the city codes and transforms them to the names of the city just so it's easier readable for the users. That was the main approach to this program, is just to keep the users user interface and user experience in mind, making it very simple for them so they don't have to enter too much information, just details needed to get out of town as soon as possible.
So when those results came up, and I know someone had the flight number and everything on the screen. Is that a hot link? I mean, when you click that, will it take you to? Can I actually go to that site and buy that ticket?
So the API I use is an affiliate marketing website. So later on, that's a future addition I'd like to incorporate, that when you do click these tickets, it would take you to the actual website or where you could purchase the ticket, hopefully in the quickest form possible, because that's the goal here. And that'll definitely be a future addition. And with every click that I get on those tickets that appear, it's able to be monetized, so I could earn money off of those clicks.
Okay. I
Well,
like
first,
it.
yeah, first, Dimitri, pretty polished presentation there. I liked it. I was curious about, I'm looking at your website in my browser as well, and I noticed when you highlight your mouse over the Fair Flight logo up there, it kind of does like a little switch.
Correct. That's on a desktop view. There is a lot more CSS that was incorporated for desktop view that isn't able to do in mobile. Hence, there's no hovering in mobile and all that. But if you do hover over the buttons and a lot of the different things, there's CSS effects. Buttons get a bit bigger. There's color changes, that kind of stuff. Yes.
Yeah, I tell you, the little bit of context change there with your mouse really helps add to the polish of the site for sure.
Thank you.
And easy for older people like myself to read.
Yeah, that's I think that was one of my biggest struggles creating this program, was making everything way too big. And I wanted to make it a bit smaller, but I didn't have as much information to work with like most websites would. So I had to make the data a bit bigger to fit into the page a bit better.
It looks good.
One of the things that I liked too was you didn't have to enter in your life story before it would let you actually search. You just enter, when I want to come back.
Correct. You're already stressed as it is. Why enter where you're at already? We already know that.
So these are real-time links, and that's the accurate price right now. So if we wanted to go to Greece.
So as far as the API I use, yes, those prices are fetched from an API. All the flight information, your location is actually fetched from the exact same API. And those pictures are fetched from a different API that uses the city names and all that. But the results they bring back are theirs, and I'm trusting them that they get it from a real place, since it's a affiliate marketing website. So if they expect to make money, I hope that it's real.
Okay.
So Dimitri, I wasn't looking that close enough, I guess. When your results came up, does it tell you or show you what airline that is with? And I remember it had the flight number, but
Yeah.
did it actually have a, I mean, is it Southwest or?
So there was a lot of results I got back and I had to parse through, and changing up what the ticket looks like and the look of every ticket before you click it is gonna all change. It just all depends on, I'm sorry, I was trying to get the data to pop up. It's all going to be a future edition. I didn't know how much data I wanted to work with, or if I wanted just to be to the point. This is the destination. This is the name. Here's the price. If you like it, click on it. We can give you more details about the ticket and all that. But no, this one doesn't have the flight number with it, I don't think. Just
That's what I was just curious about. So now I know there's a cheap flight to Moscow. How do I get it?
Right. That's definitely going to be like a future incorporation, or if you click on one of these links, it'll take you to the ticket where you see all the information. Yeah, it was just mostly focused on, simplicity. Here's where
Sure.
you're going. Here's how much it is. If you like it, want to find out more about it, give it a click and see where it takes you.
Okay, great.
I'm curious about the little plane taking off and landing logo there. Did you grab that icon from somewhere, or did you draw that yourself, or?
That was all from Font Awesome.
Okay.
Before yesterday, I actually didn't even have the name Fair Flight, and it's a little play on words, money fair. Before that, it was another Font Awesome logo. I used a lot of Font Awesome. I think their logos are great, or their little icons. I like them.
It's good. I like the font too.
Thank you. That was a big help with all the mentors there. They helped me really customize the page a lot and make it look really nice. They helped a lot.
We use that font on our page.
Yeah.
It's popular.
Definitely. But yeah, I had a lot of fun making this project. Definitely a lot of struggles. Sometimes the page didn't pop up, or the page popped up blank, and the data came after the page popped up. So definitely fun struggles I had to get over. Huge learning curve, but I loved it the whole way, and it was really fun.
Can you go into troubleshooting? How you resolved the issue there with your data coming back first and your page not loading, and just kind of step through your troubleshooting process there?
Sure. Would you like to see my code at all?
I don't mind that. I don't know about everybody else, but
I can walk you through it.
I don't know. Also, I don't know how much time you have to present either, Elaine. I'm not sure what the time frame is there.
Yeah, we've got good time. We're in good shape.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really easy fix. Let me move a little screen here. I put it all inside of, where is it? So I put everything inside of functions just to make it work better. But the click, when somebody clicked on it, I had the data wasn't there before the page popped up. So what I had to do, this whole code here was actually inside of a different function. And I realized, why is this inside of a function? It doesn't need to be in a function, because I called the function at the top when my page loaded. So while some mentors were helping me figure out the code, I realized I was like, this shouldn't be inside of a function. Took it out of the function, and it worked fine. I realized that it just needs to be called when it's a click. That's it. So after it got clicked, after everything got done, I rendered the page. It was after the last promise. I told it to render the page, and everything worked really well after that. Definitely helped me learn race conditions. I actually helped another cohort student with the same thing because I learned it from my program.
So Dimitri, I'm kind of curious. You at least from your resume and when you did your introduction, seemed like you were on a track for networking, and then made a switch to programming and web design. Kind of what prompted that change, and is it something you want to stay with, or do you want to, whichever takes off? I guess what's your job search approach from this point and going forward?
So my whole goal of taking those networking classes and even taking Savvy Coders was because I've been into cybersecurity for as long as I can remember. I think about those whole 5 years. I love ethical hacking, just playing around computers, what you can do with them. So I took networking classes to figure out. I was taking in high school. I took this program called CAPS, Center for Advanced Professional Studies, and we talked to a lot of penetration testers, hackers, and they said that they wish they took networking. It could help them better in their job. So I took that to learn more about it, and it did help me a lot. But then I wanted to go more towards web pen testing, and I needed to learn HTML and JavaScript, and I was never really good at teaching languages to myself other than Python and SQL. So I took this cohort in hopes that it better teaches me about web security and how all that works.
Okay.
So
So where do you go from here? What's your, tell me about your job search strategy.
Well, I'm hoping that with my small background in networking, little dabble in security and programming experience, hopefully get my foot in the door of any IT company in any position. That's my goal. And hopefully just work up to someday be in the security field, because that is the overall bigger goal. But starting small, getting my foot in the door.
And how are you going about networking?
I've actually reached out to the leader or my mentor in CAPS back in high school, and I took that class in the Charter Spectrum building in St. Charles somewhere. I forget exactly where it was, but they paired us up with people that work there. And my mentor there was named John Steffen. He was a CTO. He basically overlooked the technology field. And I reached out to them just to catch up, kind of, so they kind of keep me in their heads for when time really did come. I let them know about Savvy Coders, what I've been doing to get closer to what I want to become. So I'm reaching out.
Okay. Do you have a LinkedIn page set up?
Yes, sir, I do. You will actually find that on the bottom of my website. It takes you to my LinkedIn as well as my GitHub.
Great. I would, just a recommendation. I know you're looking for that kind of first job, that first step. If you can identify either the size of a company, whether that's a small company, maybe a startup, or if you're looking for, large corporate environment, wherever you think you want to go, start looking for people on LinkedIn in those organizations, reaching out, making those connections, and don't be afraid to tell anybody that you're looking for that first foot in the door.
Okay, thank you. Do you have a recommendation whether I should start with a smaller one or go with a bigger company?
Some of the bigger companies will have internships and more of those entry-level types of roles, but you might also find them in a startup, a startup that doesn't have a lot of money, that's looking for talent, just looking for bright people who can pick things up and help, drive the business.
Mm-hmm.
Elaine and I both have worked in startup environments, and it can be very, very exciting and exhilarating and scary.
Right.
Scary first.
As far as
consistently.
As far as I guess the future within that company, do you think there's a bigger future in a startup that could potentially be, I guess, something? Is that the risk you're taking, or would a bigger company be a better, more solid career choice, I guess?
I'd build your experience no matter what size of the company.
No matter, yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. You'll probably learn more or have more opportunities, I would say, potentially in a small company initially, but I think within a large company, your long-term prospects are probably better if you're looking to stay with the company for a long time.
I'd say given your young, focus on diverse experience, building up your experience resume. And I would recommend, reaching out to a lot of the companies in St. Louis. Go, just pick up the phone, call their HR group, and ask them about their internship programs, because there's some pretty good internship programs in the city of St. Louis right now. Unfortunately, is probably not a real great time to be doing it. We ourselves are getting ready to cancel our internship program for this summer, but I think that's a good place to go looking as HR departments, human resources.
Definitely, thank you.
Two that come to mind when I've been at like job fairs, Enterprise and Ameren are two that pretty much come to mind that I know that they were hiring for internships or entry-level jobs. So the bigger companies are going to have those kinds of programs.
Yep.
Fantastic, thank you.
And you should link in with all these folks, Dimitri. I'll give you their full names so you can hunt them down and send them invitations, and then you can message them and give them updates and use them as your cheering section, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, please do. That'll be great.
Dimitri, we're already linked from last time, so that's good. Good job. You did your homework.
All right.
Thank you.
I promise not to ignore your LinkedIn request.
You promised what?
I said I promise to not ignore your LinkedIn request.
Oh, that means a lot. Thank you. Whew. I've gotten a lot of that, surprisingly.
I was just gonna make one more suggestion right now. I hear you on the intern piece. Even if there's some sort of short interning thing that you can do anywhere, even if it's just for free, that could actually get you seated in some of these organizations. And then when they can hire you, you're already there. So think about that. I don't know if that's feasible at all, but right now I know the market might be really tough. And just trying to get in and get around people that are going to need your support, and you're right there when they come to hire, is a good space possibly to be in too.
Yeah, definitely a good idea. Thank you.
I saw a bunch of jobs listed at WashU, a bunch of levels for cyber and data analytics and such. So I don't know, some of your skills might fit. Just take a peek, but long term, 3 to 5 years down the road, that also could be a possibility. They're doing a whole IT section at WashU, so just a thought.
Nice. That's definitely interesting.
And in your spare time, listen to the advice from savvy coders and pick up a framework of some kind or multiple frameworks. Everybody uses them if you're going to continue mobile web development or just web development in general. React or Angular are the two big ones, obviously, but
React and Angular. Okay. How
Yeah,
much
you got it.
different are they from?
Go ahead.
How different are they from the vanilla JavaScript?
it's not. I mean, syntax-wise, it's pretty similar, but it's a different thought process for sure. But if you know JavaScript, it's pretty. I wouldn't say easy, but the next step is to pick up a framework.
Okay.
That's the next logical step.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah,
And,
do them both, Dimitri.
really quick, I'm sorry, you said that was React and
Or Angular.
Angular.
Yeah, AngularJS or React, React.js, and both have really excellent documentation and websites and tutorials and YouTube and all that stuff. There's tons and tons of resources out there for learning.
Okay, definitely. Thank you.
Anybody else have any last minute thoughts, comments, questions for Dimitri?
I don't think
Good
so.
job.
All right, great job, Dimitri. Okay.
Good job and good luck.
Thank you all. Have a great day.
Best of luck. Congrats.
Thanks.
We're going to keep this rolling. Next is Jennifer McCormick. Hey, Jennifer.
Hi, can everyone hear and see me?
Yes.
Yep.
Cool. Let me share my screen real quick. Okay. So hi, I am Jennifer McCormack. I have been coding for a few months now. I started earlier this year. Currently, I'm a direct support professional, and I just assist adults with developmental disabilities. I wanted to get into a new career field, though, so I joined Savvy Coders. But as a young adult, I enjoy going to shows and festivals and other local events. But, you know, I always find myself like getting lost at them and I can't find my friends. So that's kind of why I created ClickSafe. And ClickSafe is a way for users to search for local outdoor events, and then using geolocation services, they'll be able to give access to their current location and also be able to track their friends while using an event map through my API that I had picked out that I'll show you guys in just a minute. And so let's get that going. Everyone can see this okay?
Yes.
All right, cool. So I wanted to create the home screen to be like this. I wanted to be simple and to the point. I'm really big on user interface. And so I just wanted it to, the main focus to be, hey, this is where we're gonna search for our events. So this is where everything starts. So if you guys notice, this was kind of a cool concept that I wanted to throw in there using CSS. Just kind of like changing the width whenever you hover over it. And then I have a footer down here just to kind of, same as the nav bar. Then we have the map. So I got this map using the Google Maps JavaScript API. I specifically chose that one for this project just because you can use the geolocation services. That's something I hope to add in the future. And something else that I hope that I plan on adding in the future is for a, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself, for an overlay image. So then the overlay image will be of that event map, but within specific borders. So a future plan of mine is to be able to allow users to build profiles so then they can add their friends. And then that's how they'll be able to track them, is using this API. So then once their friends leave the border of that overlay image, all of the other friends in their little click will be notified of that. So that's kind of a nice safety feature that I plan on adding. And then also, before I forget, so I'm gonna kind of minimize this so you guys can see this, but I decided to turn my nav bar into a little drop-down burger menu. And this was a cool concept that I really wanted to add, again, just for user interface, just to make the user experience a lot smoother. So I used an event listener to kind of add this sliding transition thing because it was just bothering me. But this was a small little challenge that I had that I was happy to get through. And then here we have a list of events page. This is just a little demo page, but I just wanted something that was easy to read and just gave basic information on each event. So it gives like the date, the time, and then I'm also gonna add like the location of the event. So then whenever the user is like searching for their events, for the event that they're looking for, they don't have to keep clicking on every single little button. They can just get that main information that they need instead of just clicking around wondering where they're at. And then I also had a search bar up here, similar to the one on the home page, but without the fancy animation stuff. And then also I added a button down here to see all events. I haven't added any other demo events on here, so it won't pop up to any other events right now, but in the future it will drop down into a longer list of events.
Oh, that looks nice.
Yeah. And this is an add an event page. I wanted to just kind of add this in right away, just in case, you know, people want to check out my web app and want to start giving me real information. That would be awesome. So this is a working form that I hooked up to Forms, and it just kind of gives basic information that of the user and like what the event is, who it's through, date, time, all of that stuff, and then they just submit it to me, and I will add the information later. Then I also added a contact page just with like a little bio of what the web app is about. Then just kind of, again, a little contact information in case anyone has feedback for me or advice on anything. And again, this is a single page application, which was probably the hardest challenge that I had when creating this project. But I mean, it definitely was something that I had to work through with my teachers and my teacher assistants and stuff, but definitely got through it. Did anyone have any questions for me so far?
So Jennifer, in the future, it looks like currently the only way to add an event is to do this either manually or for you to do that. Is there a way or a plan in the future for, I don't know what the proper terminology is, I'm not technical, but to like scrape other websites that where events might be stored, like, you know, Riverfront Times has a list of events. Would there be a way to pull from other sites to get that information to make this really like the go-to place?
I do want to, I haven't thought about doing it through there, but I have thought about in the future working like Ticketmaster, so then people can actually like go through like Ticketmaster to purchase tickets for events and stuff through my web app. And I've, you know, dabbled around with Ticketmaster in the past a little bit, so I know that they have those capabilities of hooking up to other websites. So
Okay.
Did anyone else have any other
Great
questions?
concept.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, again, I'm a young adult. Like, I go to tons of stuff. I go to lots of art festivals, music festivals, everything. And the amount of times that I have gotten lost from my friends. So, and also like, it also is good for like, since I work in the healthcare field, you know, and working with adults with developmental disabilities, like this can also be used for people who do my job. And then something I also thought about adding in the future is like some way to like add like tracking little devices or something that's more in the future, like adding products or anything like that. But, you know, this would be good for kids. Like kids could put this, have like a little device or something, and then their parents could keep track of them at different events and stuff like that. So.
I noticed that when you create a new event, you said it just goes to you, and then you add the event.
Yeah.
What's the process? Is there a back end of this, or a CMS of some kind for this, or is it just an email to you, or?
So, like how the form like gets to me.
Yeah, yeah. Like if I went to your page now and added an event, how would you receive that event?
So it goes through FormSpree. So then FormSpree sends it to me in an email, and then I can either go to the website on FormSpree, or I could just view it in my email, and then I can take that information and then add it into the code on the HTML.
Okay, so the list that we're seeing now is a static list.
Yeah.
Static HTML. Okay.
And then the main languages that I used was JavaScript and HTML and CSS. So I definitely like CSS was really fun to play around with this one, just to get creative and everything. So.
Was that your favorite?
Yeah, I'm really like, I kept mentioning it, but I'm like, I really love the way like it's presented for when the user like first comes on, and they're able to like, it's very simple and to the point, and it's not confusing. Like that's all really important to me.
Does your search box work?
Not yet, but it will in the next week, because that is what I've been working on.
Can you have you planned on how you're going to write the code? Have you architected the concept of search, and can you walk me through that or not?
I've been looking up some YouTube tutorials on it. I've just been doing a lot of Googling, because again, I've only started coding earlier this year, so I've definitely learned the ways of Google.
Sure.
Googling, it's like an Olympic sport sometimes. Like you're just like trying to find the right thing, and then there's like 50 different responses for one thing. And then you're like, this doesn't work, well that doesn't work, and then just kind of trial and error with everything.
You know, I don't know, Jennifer, if you've been to the Code Till Dawn meetup that happens on, I think it's always the last Friday of the month. I haven't seen anything come out that they're doing that virtually, but that can also be a great resource. I know we've had other students from other cohorts show up there and either help other people or get help themselves. So don't forget about that one. I think that could be a great help to you.
Oh yeah, I definitely like want to get in on that. So it's just usually like it says till dawn, and I'm, you know, a heavy sleeper, so.
Oh yeah, well, and you also you work the night shift, yeah. So.
Yes, I work overnights right now.
Oh, wow.
So
Is this your first project that you've done before Savvy? Is this your first project before Savvy Coders?
yes, this is my first project ever.
Ever. I like it. It looks good. You did a great
Thank
job.
you. I really like the color purple, if you can't tell.
That looks good.
Yeah,
But
it
I
does
will-
look good.
Blue is my favorite color. Purple is not. Purple just means it's relaxing. You know, it reminds me of lavender,
Lavender. I was gonna say.
soothing, and so
Lavender.
Yeah, I think it's a fairly modern looking.
thanks.
Mm-hmm.
I do like too that you put some thought into the resolution, you know, the reactiveness of the website when you shrink it down.
Thank you. I think it's also, I have like ADHD going on, and I'm just like, ooh, it moves. Like, I love it.
Well, I mean, the truth is, I mean, responsive design is kind of a requirement for web pages these days, and
Yes.
putting that as core of your design is important. So.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for noticing.
So Jennifer, what do you see as your next step in your personal development professionally? You know, what are you going to continue on with this? This is a project, but are you going to continue on with this? Are you looking for? You said you're working full time right now. Are you looking to change that immediately? Or are you going to do some more kind of training and education, or what's your next move?
So I actually am a TA for the Savvy Coders cohort that's already started. So I got that going. I'm going to be doing some pro bono work for some local restaurants and churches. And then I am working full time right now, but I hope to, you know, land a developer job eventually. I am going to continue on this project. I do have another project in mind that is also a very cool concept that I'm planning out right now, but it involves using the same kind of algorithms they use for matchmaking sites, but for plants. So that's
plants.
Yeah. So like you fill out a questionnaire and then it'll match you up perfect plant to take care of, and then it'll also give guidelines on how to take care of that plant. So ask you, and you'll give it your availability and stuff. So it'll set up a pre-made schedule for when you water the plant and change the soil and all that. So I just really like plants. So that's another project that I'm going to start very, very soon.
That's actually good because some people don't know when to water their plants, and different plants need to be watered differently.
That's why I'm doing it, because I don't know when to water. I have a lot of plants, but I can't take care of half of them. So I feel like this is a great solution, because then it'll just automatically set up the days and times that you should water them based on your own availability.
You would be surprised how many of these scratch your own itch projects end up resonating with lots of other people that have that same itch.
Yeah, it's like, this is a very exciting field to me. So I originally got into it, like I heard about it near the end of last year from one of my interpreter friends, and she was in launch code, and then I tried to get into launch code, but then I got reached out from Savvy Coders. They kind of reeled me in, and then I've been doing it ever since. And I've just been pretty excited from the start, just because it's, you know, it's a growing field, and especially with like what's happening in today with the pandemic and all that, like this job is definitely like needed. So, because everything runs on the internet.
When you were talking about tracking your friends at an event, I was in my head thinking tracking people who have been tested.
Oh.
Wow.
People are doing that.
Yeah.
It's just
Google's
being
already
purchased by
watching
the
us.
government. Like it's
Right.
people. It's already being purchased by the government. They know where all the spring breakers are.
I don't. Those people are like my age, and I'm just like, what are you guys doing? Even like when I was in college a couple years ago, because I'm 23 right now. I was in college a couple years ago. I've never gone out of state just to go visit a beach. I don't know. I wasn't that kind of person. I'm more, again, the musical festivals, art festivals, things like that. So,
Hey, I just have one final question for you.
yes.
When you come across the hardest part of building this project, what's kind of your thought process for getting through when you get stuck?
So I'm gonna kind of relate this to like the hardest thing that I had to deal with this project was setting up my single page application architecture. And I originally like tried to jump the gun and set it up with the help of one of my TAs. And that it wasn't exactly what was taught in class. So then I had to like change everything around on it, but then nothing was matching up. And basically the whole code just kind of broke for a little while. And so what I did to kind of like work through that is, one, do a lot of research on different ways to build single page applications. I kind of just went through, eventually, like I reached a point where I was just going like line through line, making sure like last names and like other stuff were matching up and that everything was correct and all that. And then eventually I think I had to reach out to like 2 different TAs because the whole code just wasn't working. And then one TA came in and like changed it to a whole other new architecture and everything. And so basically at the end of it, I was like labeling like different like things wrong. Like I think I was calling on like the wrong title name. Like the title name had like an extra letter in it, stuff like that. And I was like, so I took a deep breath and I was like, maybe next time I just need to take a step back and just kind of like take a break from it for a minute and then come back with like fresh eyes, because I've definitely noticed from coding with these challenges is that I kept spending so much time on a singular problem that I would just kind of get lost in the code and not even find the actual problem. So my new way of kind of tackling the issue is, if I can't find it within like an hour, hour and a half, take a break from it. Like if I can't fix it within that, I'm just gonna take a break and then come back and then ask for help if needed. So
Yeah, there you go. It always helps to take a break, walk away, and come back with a fresh mindset.
yes. And I'm a writer and a painter, so definitely like I'll be looking at something that I wrote and I'll just keep staring at it, and I'm just like, what have I written? What have I made? So definitely taking a break.
All right.
Well, Jennifer, I think you've done a good job. Good start.
Thank you. I totally wasn't nervous.
Great.
You did great. We'll make sure to get
Certainly
you.
presented with confidence.
What'd you say, Brad?
I said you certainly presented with confidence.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks.
Absolutely. Good job.
Easy
Excellent.
thing. So
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So I know these guys will be happy to continue to hear from you, Jennifer. We'll make sure to get you their information so that you can send them a connection request on LinkedIn. And
Sweet.
yeah, don't be a stranger with giving them an update or asking them a hard question, or, this is your tribe. These are people that are invested in, making sure that you keep on coding.
Oh yeah, it's not like riding a bike. Like you gotta keep doing it.
Right. I love that.
And like I know sign language, and if I don't practice sign language at least twice a week, I forget so many signs. So it's the same thing. Like you gotta keep doing it to remember it.
Absolutely.
yeah, we were offering a little bit of advice to the previous guy, Dimitry, and one of the things that I offered up was the next logical step. If you're going to keep developing full stack web development, you need to learn a framework of some kind, of front end framework.
Yeah.
Back end too. It depends on if you like the front end or the back end, but Node.js on the back end, and learning how to build your own APIs and how to interact with an API, not just pull from an API or query an API, but actually build your own. And then on the front end, having managing state and building learning some front end framework, React or Angular JS. That's some skill sets that especially our company would be looking for.
Okay, cool. I'm definitely getting on that. I started learning TypeScript a little bit the other day. So watching tutorials on that.
Sure.
Cool.
Any other questions?
Just feel free to reach out if you have any questions. We gave a little advice on internships and things of that nature. So, you know, it sounds like you have a position, you have some jobs, but keep on coding, girl. We need more girl coders.
Yeah, that's another thing. I'm always like, you gotta be equal. Would you like me to stop sharing my screen now?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for being here. And thank you, Dimitri. Thank you, Jermell. Thank you, Jennifer. And thanks to all of you great folks in the employment world. We appreciate your thoughts, your comments, your advice, just really your participation, because this is where the rubber meets the road, as they say. So I will, I'll get the recording out to everybody. And as I mentioned, there are 2 other sessions going on with other students. And if you are interested in learning more about the entire cohort, you can certainly scroll through the recording that you'll get in an email from me tomorrow. Any other questions or thoughts?
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for participating. We couldn't do it without you. And until next time.
Thanks.
Bye. Good luck, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Bye.